Joining us. We're going to start with Alex Simon and then Jeff Metcalf. Oh, sorry.
All good. Thank you, Olivia. Kia, hello. Whenever you guys lose somebody a minute into the game, it wouldn't matter who it is. That's obviously going to change a lot of things for you guys, but especially with somebody like Skylar, who's one of your main playmakers, it does feel like the way your guys' offense is run, that you kind of are a team approach anyway to ball movement and kind of being able to set up your offense. Does it kind of feel like, as much as you always would rather have Skylar in there than not, like you guys can kind of withstand a few things like that just with the way you guys preach kind of moving the ball and everybody kind of getting touches that way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you said it, we'd rather obviously have Skylar in the lineup with us and her playmaking ability and her scoring ability and her defense. But at the same time, when someone goes down, it's kind of the next man up mentality. And it helps that our offense is very much based on moving the ball and getting a good open shot. Having the ability to have a number of different playmakers on the court at a time is great for us. And so obviously we missed Sky in our last game and hopefully she's able to play. But we do have to just find a way to continue to make sure that our offense moves the ball and we get good open shots for people in places where they can be successful. And that's just simple basketball and playing that way.
And obviously, when you still have BG and Diana on the court, you're still feeling pretty confident, comfortable as a team that way. But especially when they can attack the basket, I mean, 9 for 10 from the free throw line from BG, 10 for 10 from the line for Diana. What do they do that you kind of notice as their teammate that gets them so good, both at getting the looks they want, but then also turning those into either a basket or foul opportunities?
I mean, they're both really smart and they have great basketball IQ and understanding obviously where the defense is. I think if BG's on the block and we get her the ball down there, she can read the defense, whether it's a trap or a single coverage, and she just makes a good play almost every single time. So her ability to continue to attack the rim, but also find her teammates. If there's a trap, she's a really good passer coming out of that as well. It makes it hard for defenses to try and defend her. And so sometimes the only way to try and stop her is to foul her, and then she makes them pay from the free throw line as well. So that's a great thing about her. And then obviously with Diana, the experience that she has, her ability to make reads on the defense and obviously score at all three levels. If she gets to the rim for us and scores and throws them in for the free throw line as well. We all know how deadly of a three-point shooter she is. So there's just so many levels to her game, and that helps us in terms of putting pressure on the defense to decide, are you going to try and stop BG? Are you going to try and stop DT, Skylar when she's in? And so that makes it so much more difficult for teams to defend us.
Thank you.
All right, next will be Jeff Metcalf and then Christy Winter-Scott.
I wanted to ask you about your shoes, your new shoes. How exciting, meaningful is that to be able to roll those out?
Yeah, it was, it's crazy to finally be able to kind of share it with everybody. I've known for a couple months now that this was in the works, and, being able to share PEs is something that's really special. It's something that I truly do love about Jordan Brand, is their willingness to allow us to share stories about our life through the way that our shoes look and through the designs of our shoes. And so the one cool thing about that is that I always get really cool PEs, and I have multiple pairs of my own size, but now I get to share them with so many different people across North America. And so for young women in Canada to be able to have a shoe that reps their homeland, but also reps a female basketball player from there, I think that's extremely special. I know growing up, I never wore a shoe that represented a female basketball player because there was always just male shoes there. And so I'm really excited about that, excited to be able to have them roll out. And lots of people have already messaged me about getting theirs, and it's been really fun to watch, and very excited and very grateful to Jordan for putting their money behind their words and really supporting their female athletes.
And when you have a shoe that has a connection, a Jumpman Jordan connection, what's that like? Just thinking about like growing up as a little girl to where you're in a position you can do that now.
It's still very surreal when I think about being able to be a part of the Jordan Brand family, and it's an exclusive family, and it represents obviously everything that MJ did for the game and how he grew the game and the greatness that comes along with everything that he strives to do on and off the court. And so for me as a player who gets to rep the brand every single game and every single day, it's continuing the legacy of what he did to help build the game of basketball on the court and off the court. And so having a shoe and being able to tell more stories, like tonight will be another night that I get to tell stories about my grandparents. And so there's lots of different things that they allow me to do, and being able to rep a brand like Jordan and rep what it stands for and who he was and who he is, that's absolutely incredible.
One more thing I wanted to ask you. I know it's been a little fluid with somebody in, somebody out, now Skylar and whatnot, but it seems like you guys are moving to close now to where you're going to have everybody. If Skylar's not too hurt and Hartley's on her way back, this full team that's coming, hopefully soon. What do you think of when you've got everybody, all resources available going forward?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully sooner than later that does come to fruition, and excitement is like the word that comes to mind. Obviously, I think we have an incredible team and we've been able to do what we have across the season with the players that we have because we have so much talent and so much depth, but to continue to keep adding and obviously hoping that Skylar isn't too hurt and adding Bria in. I think it's just going to be really great. And there's a lot of work that we continue to do every day in practice, but it just seems like we keep getting better. And that's the most important part as the season this regular season starts to wind down a bit and you get towards more of the playoff runs and you want to make a deep run, you have to start peaking at the right time. And hopefully having everybody with us helps us peak there.
Next will be Christy Winters Scott and then John Robluski.
Hey, Kia. Please forgive me, but what is the story about your grandparents?
So tonight is obviously our pink game. And so Jordan and I have created a shoe last year. They came out as 2 blue shoes and 2 pink shoes. And I'm glad you asked because sometimes the picture of the shoes gets a little misconstrued. And so I split them up. And this year there's actually 1 blue shoe and 1 pink shoe. My grandmother had breast cancer and my grandfather had prostate cancer. So I represent them with these shoes on the pink night. And the inside of the tongue has my grandfather's name, Vincent, and my grandmother's name, Augustine. So I get to rep them tonight and have the 2 different color shoes on, and I'm wearing them right now and I'm very excited. I'm excited to show them to everybody.
Oh boy, so we have to wait until later?
We have to wait.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I get a little impatient, but a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing that. With playing the Washington Mystics, what keys did you all go over today in terms of maximizing your strengths and taking theirs away?
Well, I think a lot of our focus obviously defensively has to be on Tina Charles. I've played alongside her for a couple of years and we know how dangerous she can be, and she's having an incredible year this year, rightfully so. And so making sure defensively that we know it's going to be a good matchup, obviously with BG on her, but making sure that it's a team defensive night and showing a crowd. Also just for us offensively, making sure that we go to our strengths and use what we can in terms of personnel, whether that's establishing VG early, establishing some of our guard play early and exploiting some of their defensive tactics. They're a good team. They do a lot of different things throughout the game. They'll change up their defensive scheme. So just being prepared for what we may see here or there and knowing what the reads are, that was pretty much most of our shoot around and making sure that we're ready for that.
Awesome. And the last thing from me, just with regards to this being the second half of the season, what kinds of challenges did that break present, or what kinds of advantages did that break give the team?
I think it's different for every person that you ask. I think being able to have a little bit of a break in the middle of the season is a good thing. And being able for the players who didn't have to play in the Olympics to get some time off and to step away from the game and step away from, Phoenix as a whole and reset, that's always a really good thing. The hard part is then trying to come back and play 5-on-5, but I think we did a really good job of that in the last 2 games, especially. And I know the girls who were here we're working their tails off every single day to continue to get better. And so there's an advantage and disadvantage there. And then obviously as players that are coming from the Olympics, you're still continuing to play constantly. Obviously you have to go back to a different system and there's some new plays that are in your mind and whatnot, but being able to continue to play through that break. Obviously we didn't want to have a break in Canada, but because we were out so early, I was able to kind of step away for a couple of days myself and have a little bit of a reset. And so to me, that was an advantage to be able to come back into this season a little bit more refreshed, knowing that you kind of coming into a really important part of the season, especially coming down the stretch here in the regular season, because there's such similarity between like 5 and 9. And so making sure that ready to go from that point on.
We'll end with John Robluski.
Actually, she just answered both my questions, so I'll just end with thank you for your time and good luck the rest of the season.
No worries. I'm not good. I'm not good at media.
Thanks for the time, yeah.
Oh, wait, have a good one.